I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we are sitting down and talking with Michele Wallace Campanelli. She is the creative mind behind a thrilling novel. It is called Birds of a Feather. We will delve into the heart of this tale that combines Hitchcockian terror with redemption and inner struggle. Michele shares her inspiration for this gripping tale, and we will talk to her about the complex characters and the unexpected alliances that make Birds of a Feather a must-read for all those who love a good thriller. We're delighted to have Michele in the spotlight today. We thank our friends at Authors Reputation Press for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel. Michele, great to see you today.
Thank you for having me. It's such an honor.
Oh, the honor is all mine. You're the busiest woman in show business between your work with the Space Coast Symphony and all of your writing and your singing. So we're glad you found time to talk to us about your wonderful book. I'm a huge Hitchcock fan. So this was
Wonderful.
inspired by the book, The Birds, right? The movie, The Birds, rather.
Yes.
Yep, there's
Yes,
the
it
book.
was. I love that movie, but I found some problems with the way that ended. You knew the birds attacked people, but you didn't know why, or would it happen again? So I wrote a different version with my own characters, and I really enjoyed it. And I found it very satisfying to actually have a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good because it was always unexplained why the birds suddenly showed up and attacked in The
Right.
Birds. And I love your setting also with it's what's a juvenile detention center and
Yes,
Officer
correct.
Laura Camp. Tell us a little bit about why you chose that as a backdrop for this tale.
Well, the setting is actually in Central Florida,
Mhm.
because I live here, so it's so beautiful here. And my husband, my late husband, was a corrections officer at that juvenile detention center. So he was a great source to tell me, what the processes were. And none of this is based on the real criminals, of course, but I got inspiration from him. He really believed in rehabilitation, especially for the youth, and I found that inspiring.
Absolutely. There's got to be hope for the young people, like you said. And
Yes.
we look for redemption in this life. We often view life as a redemption story. It's all a comeback story. Tell us a little bit about your character, Officer Laura Camp.
Well, I got the character because I love strong female protagonists.
Yeah.
I really feel that, a woman can really take the lead, and she's, working in a man's kind of world. She's one of the only female corrections officers, and she was challenged, and I just love that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to see a protagonist who is female, who is strong, who can handle things on her own.
Yes. And she overcame a lot to do her job, to get trained, because they, corrections officers have to go to training and physical training and all of that. And she conquered that, and she wasn't afraid. She just said, I'm going to do this. And she did.
Yeah.
So it was a huge accomplishment for her.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the setting itself, in a way, is kind of claustrophobic. It's basically a prison, you know?
Yes,
So for
yes.
this attack to happen there is quite compelling.
Right, because you think the officers would be able to protect themselves, but these vultures are pretty tough.
Absolutely. Have you envisioned this as a TV series or a film, perhaps?
Absolutely. In fact, Authors Representative Press is trying to get a multiple book movie deal for me. So I
Wonderful.
hope they manage it, because my books would make great movies.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's born out of a movie, and I think it would make an even better movie. We'd have to get a modern day Hitchcock to direct it and a modern
Yes,
day Tippi Hedren to play the role of Officer Laura Camp.
yes, she has to be tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Who do you think you would cast in that?
When I think of tough women, I think of Sigourney Weaver, but
Right.
she's a little bit out of that age range. But I really want somebody tough, somebody who could handle fights. Fighting vultures off would not be easy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I could see Anna de Armas in this role, you know.
Yes, maybe
She,
Charlene Tillman or something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Tell me about your writing process. Do you write in the morning, the evening, whenever the feeling moves you? Tell me about
Well, a
that.
lot of my stories come to me like movies in my head, and I just can't do anything till I put it down. So I really envision them as movies. To me, it's just the spark comes and I got it right.
Yeah.
Right then, even if it's late at night, you just got to jot down your thoughts.
Absolutely. Let's tell the folks at home a little bit about your background. You have 9 stories on the bestsellers list. 2 have reached the #1 spot on the New York Times. Those are no easy tasks. That's a lot of heavy lifting involved to accomplish that. Tell the folks at home a little bit about your writing career.
Well, I'm very prolific. I started when I was in high school. I started writing short stories. Then I started writing young adult and now adult and children. And and I can't really find which one I like the most because I'm drawn, through the story. Some are focused more on young adults, some are focused more on children. And I love to write, and one of my greatest accomplishments is getting with the Space Coast Symphony and doing children's programs. So they take my book, they either make it a film or an animated like little, I guess, feature. I don't know what you would call it, but they take that and then they put it with music. And one of my books that's coming out soon, Musicians Are Superheroes, will have superheroes attending, like Superman and Spider-Man. And they play superhero music along with the video. And the kids love it. This is the second time we've done it. The first time, over 5,000 kids showed up. So it's almost like a Comic-Con, because the kids dress up. We have a costume contest. It's just wonderful. It's fun. It's fun for the kids. The book talks about the benefits of music. It encourages kids to get involved with music, which I'm very excited about. Kids that are involved with music do better in other parts at school. They understand teamwork. They get better motor skills. So it's something I really believe in. And every year, the symphony and I get together and we put one of my books into like an animated feature with the music. It's fabulous. I can't tell you how excited the kids get. And it brings me so much joy to see how much happiness we're bringing.
Absolutely. You're motivating the children. You are entertaining the children. You're bringing your
Yes.
written work to life on the stage. You're
Yes.
complementing it with multimedia and music. It really sounds like a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Yes, it is. The next one will be in November, and the film was put together by 12 Atlas Films with Kenneth George is his name, and he did such a wonderful job. So I love bringing my stories to life. I was taking screenwriting at Southern New Hampshire University, and I just fell in love with it. I just did. It's so much different than novel writing, but it's wonderful. And now I've moved on. I'm going for my doctorate now in education. So my goal is to help people write as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. And which book will you be bringing to life in November when it's shown at the Space Coast?
Musicians Are Superheroes, which
Musicians.
will be the second show. It was such a big hit, they decided to bring it back.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's exciting. And it is
Yeah.
fun for the kids to dress up. And like you said, it's kind of like a
Yes.
Comic-Con. I love that. One
Yes,
of
we
your
have actors that are dressed up as superheroes, and the kids get an opportunity to get their picture with Spider-Man, and it's so much fun.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that's a memory they will have for the rest of their lives for sure. Because for the little kids, those superheroes are real. So that's
Yes,
wonderful. That's wonderful. You have
yes,
contributed to the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. Tell us a little
yes.
bit about that
That's
collaboration.
really how I began. Is I started with short stories, and I wrote about my own life and people that I knew, and those stories got published in Chicken Soup for the Soul, and those books were huge hits. People still come up to me, oh, I read your book in Chicken Soup for the Christmas, or
Yeah.
Teenage Soul, and I'm like, oh yeah, and that's how I got started. And that kind of gave me an itch to write more. And that's when I started writing short story, novels, novellas, really. Um, they're like shorter novels. Then I went in children's books, and I really felt a need to inspire kids to get involved with music, because there's not going to be a symphony in the future if we don't have kids playing instruments.
Exactly. Yeah, the arts are so important. I was one of those kids. I
Yes.
did pretty poorly in school. I was always distracted, always daydreaming, always creating something in my head. And until I had a reason to go to school, which was theater, I wasn't invested in it. But once I was in theater, one, I improved my memory skills right away. I improved my confidence right away, my public speaking skills right away. So the purpose of the arts, the importance of the arts can't be overstated.
Yes, it's very true. And what was your favorite role
Oh, I
that you
remember that.
had?
I actually named my dog after I played Mortimer Brewster in Arsenic and Old Lace.
Okay,
And that was really fun. I played Paul Bratter in Barefoot in the Park.
okay.
And Beauregard, Jackson Pickett Burnside, and Mame, a bunch of different roles. But my favorite would have to be Mortimer Brewster, because I was a sophomore in high school and I got cast for the lead of the play, which was unheard of because it always went to a senior. So it was an
Mm.
exciting time and it was a really fun time. You're a singer as well, I understand.
Well, I used to sing a lot, and then the pandemic hit. Me and my mom and another lady, Barbara, did shows at in Florida. Of course, there's a lot of assisted living and nursing homes, and
Mhm.
we'd go to memory care and things like that, where I learned about music therapy. I was a music major for a while, and music, it brings back so many memories, and it brings them joy. And we would go, we had 16 nursing homes we were assigned, and we go once a month, once every other month, and put on these shows. They were usually holiday themed. So if it was Easter, we'd sing Easter music. If it was Christmas, we'd sing Christmas music. And it just brought me as much joy as them. I love to see them sing along, and it's just wonderful the way they connected to music, and it brought them joy. So I used to do that. And then the pandemic hit,
Mm.
and then none of the nursing homes would allow entertainers in. So it slowly slowed down. I still get calls to do it, but I haven't done it in a couple of years now.
Yeah, pandemic was a game changer, but I'm
Yes,
sure the seniors who listened to your performances really enjoyed them because, that's their highlight of the day, highlight of the week,
yes.
highlight of the year sometimes, because sometimes there's not a lot of stimulation in those places. So it was really good of you to go around and share your gift. Do you feel that your love of music and singing is interrelated with your love of writing?
Absolutely. In fact, it's hard to separate them sometimes,
Yeah.
especially when we do the kids programs, because inspiration and to the kids is the main focus. They'll be sitting there and they'll see a scene, and then the Avengers theme song will come on, and you see how much joy it brings to them. And so to me, the arts are, I used to do community theater as well.
Mhm.
And I just love the arts. I absolutely do. And there's some of my fondest memories,
Yeah.
either singing or acting or writing. And they're all connected, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, the music I find influences my writing, and maybe you have the same thing, that your writing almost becomes a little lyrical in a way.
Yes, well, I used to be in a rock band.
Hmm.
I was when I was young, okay, I was very young, and I was in a female heavy metal band called Black Widow, and I
Awesome.
was the lead singer, and I used to write, Don Kreiselman used to write the music, and I would write the lyrics, and a lot of those were stories. So, that moved on after the band broke up. I moved on to writing stories.
Wonder. I think we're going to have to get a reunion of Black Widow and get you out there rocking and rolling and singing some covers of Joan Jett and the
Yes.
Blackhearts or something.
Yes, well, that Joan Jett was big when I was in my band. So yes,
Yeah.
we were an all-female heavy metal band, which was kind of rare back
Yeah.
then. That was before women started rocking, and now it's you see people all the time, females rocking and rolling, but back then they didn't. So we were kind of pioneers in a way. And it was exciting, and I kind of was in a world that was mostly dominated by men, and I think that's where my love of female protagonists grew. I want females to do things they normally wouldn't do, people you can look up to, and they don't take no for an answer.
Absolutely. Like Officer Laura Camp, a
Yes,
strong
yes,
heroine. Yep,
yes.
absolutely. Are you working on any new writings right now?
Yes, I have several books, and one is an adult book and one is a children's book. One is set to come out probably later this year,
Mhm.
and then the adult one will be next year.
Okay.
So, yeah, I never stop, and I'm a full-time college student, so I'm very busy, very
Absolutely.
busy.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. It's good to be busy. Tell us a little bit about these children's books that you're developing.
Well, I've written about 4 or 5, and they're all really kind of connected to music. One is called Land of the Gnomes, which is about how the metronome was created.
Hmm.
And it's a fictional tale, of course, but the gnomes named metronome. So, anyway, that was really cute. And then I have Rex and Friends, which is a children's book about a dinosaur, T Rex, who wants to play the piano. Well, you can see there's conflict right there. And he winds up playing with his feet. So he wants to play in the caveman band. So my children's books are kind of inspired by music. They're all to encourage kids to be involved in music. And Musicians Are Superheroes talks about the benefits of music, how it can be used in music therapy, how people in love have a song that it just reminds them of their love. And music is really, it's very touching. It brings people back to a certain time period, helps their memories, and it talks a little bit about that.
Wonderful.
So yes, yes.
Sounds great. How many hours a day do you devote to writing? I know you're busy between the Space Coast Center and your writing and your schoolwork and all that.
Well, I try to at least write an hour, but a
Mhm.
lot of that is also editing. Editing
Yeah.
is a huge part of writing. A lot of people don't think about it. They just think, oh, I'll write a story. And it's about half to more of editing. So you read a story maybe 10 to 15 times before a chapter is done, or so a lot of it's editing. A lot of it is also, you know, getting rid of stuff, too
Yeah.
much language. Luckily, my mother is an English professor.
Mhm.
She was a teacher at Florida Institute of Technology for 47 years.
Wow.
And so I grew up with my notes being corrected on the counter,
Yeah.
with red ink. I was used to the red ink. And when I speak, if I said something incorrectly, my mom would correct me. So I grew up thanks to a great mom who made sure I was properly trained in English.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I
Yes.
guess you break out your red pencil every now and then when you're working as a social media director for the Space Coast Symphony. Tell us a little bit
Yes.
about that role.
Well, I promote the concerts, and so I've had marketing training, and that's very helpful. So if you're a writer, get into marketing because that's a huge part of it as well. So I market the concerts, I interview people, and I get, it's just fun. I do graphic designs too, which I also am trained in, and photography. So all of that combined makes me a great social media director. And I just love music. So it's almost like not working, even though I spend lots of time in it. It's just not like, hard for me to do. I enjoy it. I've become friends with the musicians. So I'm promoting people I like, which is great.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And a cause that you believe in, and a wonderful cultural outlet for the people of Central Florida and all over
yes.
Florida and all over the country, as a matter of fact.
Yes, the Space Coast Symphony, I think they have 60 musicians regularly that they are hiring, and I probably 100 total with special guests. And I mean, they're a huge outlet. They really are, especially conductor Aaron Collin. He cares about the culture in this community, and it just shines, really. His programs are innovative. He has the best singers, the best musicians, and really it's just exciting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure. Did you rewatch The Birds multiple times when working on your novel, Birds of a Feather?
Actually, I didn't. I watched it once and then the story came to me, and my husband at the time, because he's passed now, he inspired me as a corrections officer. He was so sure he could rehabilitate these kids. And he felt a lot of it was these kids would have visitor days and some of them wouldn't have anybody show up, and how draining that was on them. So he would try to be there for them and give them support and tell them, hey, you don't need to be in this gang. Hey, you don't need drugs. You don't need alcohol. And he tried to help them and inspire them. And I think he did a lot of good. I really do. And I hope that's what this book also shows. It says it's about second chances. People can change, you know, and this book is definitely about second chances.
Yeah, well,
So,
like I said, all of life is a comeback story. All of life is a
yes,
redemption story because you have your ups and you have your downs, your highs, your lows. And it's being able to fall down, pick yourself up, and start all over again is what it's all about, right?
yes, yes, especially for kids in the detention center who may have been inspired by something bad, whether it's drugs, alcohol, or a parent that was in prison. They were inspired by that. And my husband took it upon himself to show the kids that there's a different way of
Wonderful.
living. Yes. So this whole Birds of a Feather is really about second chances, but not for the vultures.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're beyond redemption. Some things are beyond redemptions, and vultures are the ugliest birds you can ever imagine. Have you been up close
I
to a
was
vulture ever?
actually, I researched vultures. Brevard Zoo, which is one of the best zoos in the country, is not far from me. And they had a vulture exhibit. Can you believe
Wow.
that? Vultures from all over the world. And I actually saw a California condor. I think they're on nearly extinct. But that bird was so big. I'm
Yeah,
like, I couldn't believe it. And you think that they're ugly, but then when you see them up close, they're not really ugly. They're just scary. They
right.
stare at you and you're like, oh no.
We have turkey vultures up in Maine that
Hmm.
are about this big, and they
Mm.
fly around the landfill, and it's completely frightening between the landfill, which is kind of ghosty to begin with, and then these giant birds flying. It's scary. Hopefully, they don't attack like they do
Yes.
in
Well,
birds
they
up.
have a purpose. They are God's cleanup crew. We need them, and that's also something in the book that we should value things we don't understand because we need vultures. We do. We do, or
Absolutely.
and they're not the cutest. And they're not, when you're in a section where I was, when there's like 10 or 15 vultures around, all different kinds. Here we have the black vultures, they're all black, but they always hang out in groups.
Yeah.
So you're like gonna see like 15 or 20 of them. Most of the time you're trying to get away from them because they're in the middle of the road or something, but we need them to clean up, the bacteria and everything from dead animals. So they're very needed. They're not very loved, but they are needed.
Yeah, they're part of the ecosystem. Well,
Yes.
Michele Wallace Campanelli, who is a prolific writer, is out with a wonderful novel. It's a real thriller. It's called Birds of a Feather. It's inspired by the Hitchcock movie The Birds, but it's its own unique story that is a tale of redemption and inner struggle. It's a book you will not want to put down. Michele, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. It's such an honor to meet you and to be here.
Pleasure is all mine, and an honor to meet you as well. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time until next time on Spotlight.